Are you serious? And he's also asking you to have them for some of their top qualities. No, that's not important.
My name is Dr. Lee Aina, and I am the Chief Executive Managing Partner of Somina Health, an Abuja-based health systems consulting that works to improve the effectiveness of health systems in Nigeria and several other African countries at the moment. The Health Sector Top Team Effectiveness Initiative is a collaboration between the Nigerian Governors Forum, the Nigerian Health Commissioners Forum, under the leadership of its current chairperson, Dr. Banji Filani, who is the Honorable Commissioner for Health in the state, and Somina Health. And the program really came out of the recognition of certain gaps that are addressable but currently impact the effectiveness of the functioning of the health system. So, as you probably know, the health sector in Nigeria at the subnational level mirrors what happens at the national level, which is that the Ministry of Health provides the overall stewardship of the system, setting policies and direction, but really implements and provides services through a series of parastatals, be it the Primary Healthcare Development Agency, the state health insurance agencies, the drug management agencies, and the likes at the different states. All of these institutions have some degree of independence, but also some degree of interdependence. And what we have found in the course of our work, but also in the experience of some of the collaborators in this initiative, is that the most highest performing states are those in which there is good collaboration and coordination between the top team of all these institutions. And where there is some friction or less smooth collaboration between these leaders, it impacts their ability to work together to achieve a common goal. So the NGF and the NHCF came together to conceptualize this and then brought Somina on board to bring this to life. To say how do we convene and build a program for health commissioners, starting with 3 parastatals at the state level. So, the health commissioner, but also the executive secretaries of the state health insurance agencies and the state primary health care development agencies, all in certain instances is executive secretaries, in others is executive chairman, basically the top executive CEOs of these organizations. In a number of states, we also included the DMAs, the drug management agencies, or a permanent secretary to make a 4th participant. And this exercise really went through a series of steps. I think the first was really to pursue, review what the situation was, or what the problems or the drivers were. So we did in-depth interviews with these 3-4 leaders from each of the 36 states and the FCT in Nigeria, where we asked everything around certain dimensions, around visioning, around roles, quality of roles, around processes, around interpersonal collaboration, and how were things working in their respective states, what were some of the problems and what were some of the root causes of the problems. And we synthesized that and convened a subcommittee of 3 or 4 health commissioners and 3 or 4 each of the executive secretaries of the different agencies in what we call the co-creation workshop, where we looked at the findings of the interviews of the 103 or so interviewees. We synthesized all of that information together in that workshop. We came up with a few clear set of issues. One of them was really that in those states that had challenges, sometimes it was around the coordination and collaboration between the institutions, which also mirrored the ability of their top executives, the senior leaders to work together. We also identified an issue around clarity of roles. In many states, it was clear that the parastatals reported through the health commissioner to the executive governor's office. In some other states, there was some direct line of reporting, especially with the establishment of the primary healthcare under one roof, for example. And sometimes it wasn't clear how the Ministry of Health was carried along in information going to the governor and vice versa, and sometimes it was clear. The other dimension where we found gaps was really around just the personalities. Sometimes, again, there are processes, there are laws, there are rules, but it's the people that make them happen. And in instances where the people didn't get along as well, there were issues which happens in every organization. It was very important that the people are able to collaborate effectively. So what we did after the co-creation workshop was to then convene this particular syndication and planning workshop where we invited all states, 36 plus one states, all the health commissioners, all the executive secretaries, all chairmen of the state health insurance agencies and the state primary healthcare boards, again, to do a number of things. It was a 2-day session. Yesterday was the first day. We sort of set the overview and laid out, came to an agreement around the importance of the effective collaboration between the top teams. Then we reviewed at a high level a summary of the national picture of the assessment results, where states were doing great and where states were not, where there were gaps that could be addressed. Again, understanding that some of this would have since moved, but some of this also may truly not reflect what is on the ground. So we wanted to spend having the states really deep dive into their state-specific results. But before that, yesterday as well, we had a panel session where we brought in experienced leaders from various places. Right now, we had somebody who is currently the deputy governor of the state. She also worked previously as the chairperson of the state primary healthcare development agency in Kaduna State specifically. We had Dr. Chico Ihekwas, who was the founding head of the Nigeria Centers for Disease Control, and they had to build an organization from scratch. But is currently an assistant director general with the WHO. There's also Joe Abba, who is the current country director for DAI. He also was formerly the DG of for Public Service Reform, where he pushed a lot of service reforms focusing on top team effectiveness. We had Dr. Banji Filani himself, who's the chairperson of the Health Commissioners Forum, but also is the Health Commissioner for Ekiti State. And we also had the final person was Dr. Anna Skodo. She is the director of Department of Family Health in the Ministry of Health, and she also has served as commissioner, 2-term commissioner in Borno State, but also held multiple leadership positions in several organizations. So they shared a lot from their experiences. What were some of the challenges? And I think a number of common themes came into. One of them was really around the fact that leadership is service, and you have to understand that you have to be willing to do from the most sophisticated of responsibilities of the team or the institution under you to the most mundane, including keeping it clean and keeping the facilities functional. That's one. You also had to have a vision. You had to be able to define a vision for your organization, and you have to be able to convene the people around it, to align your team around that vision so that everybody is gingered, they know the vision, and they're working towards it. Even though they have different roles, but they have to see how they work towards the vision. I think one of the other things that came out from the panel discussion was the importance of thinking about a legacy. So you can decide to have a legacy as a leader, or you cannot. Your legacy can range from everything from the sustainability of the changes or the reforms you implemented, to the capacity of the team you are leaving behind, including some form of succession planning. After that, what we then did again was looking at the interpersonal component of this. We wanted to do some team bonding exercises. And the first activity yesterday was really having all of the participants take the Myers-Briggs test, which is some personality test that is commonly used to place people in archetypes alongside the dimensions of personality, and with person-specific reports that really, highlighted personality traits and what preferences were and the implications for working in teams. So that was quite a long and eventful first day. Last night there was a dinner that was a lot of fun for the participants. We had a birthday person, ended up as a party for the birthday person as well. This second day, though, today is really where the rubber hits the road, where the states are workshopping their own data and developing state-specific plans. So it's really after the initial plenary where we opened the day and laid out the plan for the day, the states split up into state teams of the commissioners and the GSs or executive chairmen that are here, and really doing a deep dive into their two sets of data. The first set of data is the outcome of the output of the assessment that we made. To say, okay, these were the strengths that we found in terms of the top team attributes in your state. These are some of the gaps in the way you guys are working together. So really think about it. To what extent does this really represent what is on the ground? And what we are hearing, just having gone around the tables, is that for the most part, the vast majority of people agree with what the assessment is saying about the current state. But looking at that, then so what is to then say, okay, what are some of the initiatives that we want to take forward as a state? As a state team, to address some of the gaps. What are the things we're going to do to build on some of the strengths that we identify, and even taking that forward to some level of work planning. So for each of these initiatives, for example, who are the stakeholders, what are the activities, what kind of resourcing is needed at a high level, and where is the resource going to be coming from? Even what are some of the risks? We all know that we're in a political transition period, and to what extent is that a risk? And what's the plan to make sure that this initiative and this work is sustained beyond the transition? So that's one part of the breakout session at the state level today. And then the second part is again looking at the team collaboration component, which is where the different team members will discuss their own Myers-Briggs types and the implications for working together, and they will together come to agreement around a few changes they want to make or a few improvements they want to make in how they collaborate to respect each of the team members' preferences, but also recognizing the differences between them so that everybody is happier and is better able to collaborate. We will come together at a plenary to discuss how this is gone at the end of the day, and basically agree a way forward. And what we are planning as a way forward is a number of things. One, coming out of this event, we are already highlighting some sorts of next steps. And the next steps will be the states are going to take some of this type of intervention and go and cascade it down, because it's not, we have 3 or 4 people per state, limited by time and resources. The state health sectors have very many parastatals working under the government, the state Ministry of Health. So the idea being, how do you bring all of them and expand the scope of this work at a state level? Some of these will be facilitated by the Nigerian Governors Forum, and many states will also be able to do this independently. There are also going to be, some sort of documentation coming out of this, which will be a lot of the agreements here, a lot of the outputs of this that the NGF will archive on its library, so that the states can reference other people who want to do this type of work, other sectors, not even the health sector, because one of the things that is also coming out is that this really transcends the health sector. This is the first time, by the way, that the health commissioners and the executive secretaries are having an opportunity to be formally convened on a platform, at a scale like this, and everybody recognizes the importance of that. So at a minimum, we want to make sure that it's a continuous platform. The NGF is going to come up with mechanisms to make sure that this doesn't end here. There is the National Health Commissioners Forum is able to convene this, the ES fora are able to do national convenings. And this sort of step out of your state, but also just reflect and see how you're doing will continue. One of the major insights from this exercise, by the way, is a lot of feedback that we're getting. The Director General of the Nigerian Governors Forum highlighted this, but several of the participants have also said this in different words, is that it's typically in the private sector that you have global consulting firms really implementing this type of team building and top team effectiveness intervention. You have the McKinseys of the world, the Accentures of the world are the ones who are doing this. So having a local Nigerian organization, Sabina, be able to convene and execute this type of intervention, but also really focused on the public sector is a first. And there's a lot of excitement around that, and there's a lot of lesson to be learned from that, that certainly it's cross-sectoral. It goes beyond the health sector. Other sectors can learn, other tiers of government can learn to do this, and even states can learn to take this and go and replicate, within their states at a broader level. Because really, for one of the historical differences between the private and the public sector is the notion of effectiveness and productivity. And if we are going to improve the effectiveness of the public sector, we have to borrow some of the private sector capabilities and expertise. So we think that this is a good example that we can build on. Yeah, and then hopefully by the end of the energy that is coming, that has been generated among this team, will follow through in the implementation. It's one thing to have the agreements and have certain next steps, but ultimately it's the implementation that matters. So there will be some follow-up from the NGF to some of the states as necessary to help them to execute some of the activities and initiatives they have identified here. Thank you.